Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to do a little bit of another deep dive into Happy Period Bay Area specifically, focusing a little bit on Oakland and also to address some of the poll responses and Q&As that we put out on social media and kind of cover those responses. I want to talk a little bit more about the poverty and housing issues going on in Oakland and how they're impacting hashtag Happy Period's mission, and also introduce you guys to the conversation around the pink tax, more specifically the menstrual hygiene taxes. The pink tax is much broader than that, but we'll get into that in just a second. So for those of you who aren't aware, or if you're new to the channel, thank you for watching. Please subscribe. My channel is a mixed bag of Disney vlogs, women's issues, which branch out of and are an extension from a women's group that I run on Facebook, as well as Happy Period content, which of course is an extension of my work with hashtag Happy Period here in the Bay Area, providing menstrual hygiene products to the homeless and underserved women. So you will see that and some film and TV reviews, of course, on my channel. So if you are new, please subscribe. If you like this type of content, please give it a thumbs up. That does help. Please comment below with any feedback or questions that you have if you want to get involved, whether you're here locally in the Bay Area or you are wherever you are. We want to be able to get you involved and show you how to be of service in your community. So I say all of that to say that whether you're new to the channel or if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for watching. There is a playlist for women's issues, and there is a very specific playlist for Happy Period Bay Area. There's going to be some overlap, but if you want to do a little bit of a deeper dive into some of the events that we've had in the past and see what those look like, and some other vlogs that I've done introducing you guys to Chelsea Von Chaz's mission here with hashtag Happy Period, please check those videos out, give them a thumbs up, and give us any feedback or comments. Again, it's very much appreciated. So I put out a poll on our Instagram, which is just very simply at I'm getting them all confused, at We Are Happy Period Bay Area. So if you haven't already, give our Instagram page a follow. We do post all of our event information on there as well. So if you're local and want to get involved, whether as a volunteer, in leadership, or just want to be made aware of what's going on with this particular issue, it's a great resource. Our Facebook page as well, you can find the information there, which is We Are hashtag Happy Period Bay Area. And of course, you can always find the main organization's social media on Facebook and Instagram as well, just listed as We Are, either hashtag Happy Period on Facebook or We Are Happy Period on Instagram. So check those out if you need more information. In the interim, I wanted to first dive into the Q&A feedback that we got from the Instagram questions. So one of the first questions that we put out was, what are your biggest questions about hashtag Happy Period? The biggest question that was asked was, how long has it been around? And well, it was a tie. How long has it been around? Losing control over here. And when are your upcoming events? So this was addressed in one of the original vlogs on the channel. We started the Bay Area chapter, my neighbor and dear friend Jordan and I, in summer of 2016. This was on the heels of, completely by accident, happening across a article on Chelsea and her work in LA and in Skid Row, and how she transitioned from being a full-time stylist into creating this 501(c)(3). And she started obviously a little bit before we did. She started the mission in I believe 2014 is when it kind of was the inception. Long story long, some of the most established chapters are us here in the Bay Area, New York, DC, LA, of course, Miami, and we have expanded to over 46 chapters doing grassroots drives and distributions in their communities all over the United States. So that's when we got started here in the Bay Area. We started a period packing party in our backyard, invited everyone we knew. Over the course of a week or so, we took that inventory, we broke it down, we established it into smaller kits, basically a month's supply of menstrual hygiene, and got into a couple of cars, drove around to the encampments in Oakland, and handed them out. And whatever excess we had, we gave to our local shelters, sober living homes, etc. So that is the Reader's Digest version of Bay Area. We now support all of Oakland, San Francisco, Berkeley. We also have a formal student group on University, California, Berkeley, and we support some surrounding areas, Alameda, Pleasanton, and we continue to expand. So it's been a huge success. But that was the question number one. Second question was, when is our next event? So we're having a fundraiser actually in San Francisco. We're working on nailing down the dates, but one of my partners, Aisha, her mother owns a kind of like a ceramics / art workshop in the city, and she has been kind enough to host us before for a period packing party, and is going to be putting together a fundraiser event so that we can continue to fund what we need to do in San Francisco and just bring more awareness. The grassroots element of Happy Period is critical, especially if you want to continue to support your community. But we are at a point now as we move into 2020 where we want to be able to do more education and more fundraising. It's come to a point where if we want to continue to spread the message and be able to keep up with the demand, especially in a major metropolitan area like the Bay Area, we need to be raising funds to support our endeavors, whether that means getting inventory, whether that means transportation expenses, food expenses, marketing expenses, and of course just being able to find time, space, energy, and resources to further educate people, to solicit them to get involved, whether on a volunteer level or on a leadership level. And then the other side of the education is actually going out to shelters, or when we speak to folks that we meet at encampments or on the street, to be able to have time and resources to educate them on what we're doing, how to keep things sanitary, especially if we happen to have reusable items, and more than that, just having the time and resources to be able to listen and learn from them so we can better figure out how to serve. So those were the first two big questions we got. One of the other questions that we asked was, what does menstrual equity mean to you? The overwhelming response was free access to inventory or products. So that is absolutely a key component of menstrual equity. Whether you are homeless or not, there is taxation on these products, and that's a good segue into that issue, which is that, and I'm just going to pull up some stats here because everyone loves a good stat, don't they? So just to give you some perspective here, you aren't homeless, you're a person of privilege, you're gainfully employed, you have a roof over your head. The reality is that you're going to spend an exorbitant amount of money over the course of your lifetime if you are a woman or if you are a trans man who still bleeds on menstrual hygiene. The average woman or menstruate has her period for 2,535 days of her life. On average, about 7 years. The reality of that cost is, on the low end, let's say you're spending your money to buy your pads and tampons at the dollar store, you're still going to go through, what was the price point? Between $400 to $2,000 over the course of your life on a 5-day per month cycle, which we all know everyone's is different. So if you're someone like me who bleeds for 7 on average, if you're somebody who bleeds more than once a month, whether you're perimenopausal, maybe you're dealing with endometriosis, whatever the situation is, these are very, 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 very conservative estimates. That is what we deal with as people of privilege in terms of our expenses. Now, that doesn't include medication, that doesn't include things that you might take to deal with breakouts, severe cramp, hospitalization, breast pain, mood swings, heating pads. How much money do you think you've spent on underwear that you have ruined? Calculate that cost in. It's just out effing outrageous. On top of that, menstrual hygiene products are taxed at a rate, at least in California, between 12 and 14%. States like Florida, who else has done it? Florida, I believe, Missouri. Let me pull it up here. Sorry, I'm toggling back and forth between a couple of different things here. My home state of Florida, I can't believe, actually got their shit together and did this, but Florida repealed the tampon tax, Missouri repealed the tampon tax, California is actually still working on it, which is shocking to me. Let's see who else. There we go. What is it? Okay, so in the last 2 years, New York, Illinois, Florida, Missouri, and Connecticut have fully abolished the sales tax on menstrual products. Canada, as a country, did it last year as well. Australia and the UK are working on it. And there are several nations in Africa that have actually, Kenya and Uganda specifically, have abolished sales tax on menstrual hygiene products. And Zimbabwe is subsidizing local manufacturers. So yes, progress is being made, but it's still just an insane joke on how long it's taking, and that it's even an issue to begin with. So circling back to the Instagram question of, what does menstrual equity mean to you? Well, yes, access is number one, right? But look at what access costs in terms of dollars and cents, in terms of resources, in terms of time and energy for somebody of privilege. Now, if you are on the street, or if you are underserved, meaning maybe you just don't have the luxury to pay for these items, you're maybe living in a shelter, maybe you have to choose between food and hygiene, maybe you have children to feed. There is no such thing as access when you don't have the resources to pay. So what I touched on in an earlier vlog is that a lot of these menstruators are forced to choose between a meal or maybe a night's stay in a shelter and hygiene or ibuprofen or whatever the case may be. Clean underwear, and if you only have a certain amount of dollars in your pocket, are you going to risk shoplifting? And if you are, what are you going to shoplift? Are you going to shoplift your next meal? Are you going to shoplift for pain relief, or are you going to shoplift for hygiene and dignity? These are impossible choices no one should have to make. So menstrual equity is very simply that everyone, no matter what their situation, should have access to these products, if not for free, then at least not taxed. And it's just not the world that we live in. On top of that, menstrual equity also means access to education. I'm 37 years old. When I had sex ed, I had sex ed in a private Catholic school, which was fuck all. My sex ed came from my mother, thank God. Most children are not getting proper sex ed, whether it's in public school or in the homes. And that's leading to a lot of misinformation about how not only our bodies work, but what our bodies look like, how to properly take care of our bodies, and how our bodies work in relation to sexual partners, which is a completely different topic, but it is related insofar as it all circles back to health education and sex education. Not knowing how to insert a tampon, not knowing how to properly insert a reusable cup or something like a Flex. These are things that, especially when it comes to reusable items, are better used, or better donated, I should say, to shelters where you can have an opportunity to educate folks on how to keep them hygienic, how to insert them, how to remove them.